Mikoji, your bush needs trimming. Anyway. Hello. Good morning, good evening, good night, good all time zones. Hope you all have been doing good, you know, in the past week. There's some new teaser images and stuff for the elite specs, right? I'll take a look at that. There's also a new article. Shout out to Sky for setting up a visual of the teaser images for the elite specs and pairing them with Chinese poems. Apparently, Guild Wars 2 in China has more stuff. They tease more by attaching Chinese poems to them. What's with the special treatment? So this is what Sky prepared. Thank you, Sky. You always go, you know, out of your way to, you know, make something like this. This could be the Bard. What does the Chinese poem for the Bard say? In this fleeting life, the strings sing. My heart drifts with the clouds. This just sounds like a Bard thing. I don't think there's nothing, there's anything to... Sorry, there was a Super Saiyan chicken. I don't got anything to say about the Bard thing, because that's obviously a Bard. What else could it be? It's a freaking Bard. I just don't know what class this elite spec is attached to. Same thing with this thing right here. Could be a Paragon, could be a Paladin. Iron helms churn to feathers. 1,000 swarms forge into a single blade. So emphasis on the feathers, on the wing imagery on the helmet. I don't know what the Paragon was like in Guild Wars 1, but this, now I'm starting to see why people are thinking Valkyries. And then this third one that everybody thinks is a nuclear physicist or something, I don't know. The silver flow hardens into form. Shadows gather and shape the fall. This has nothing to do with quantum physics or whatever, or this has nothing to do with particle physics. Probably more to do so with manipulating some other worldly energy, like Void, maybe a Voidmancer. I know it's a little direct because they're talking about shadows and stuff, but you know. Cards, this is new. So some kind of Gambit class, we can finally roleplay Gambit. I feel like this could be the Thief. Like, there is no better class to attach this symbol than to a Thief. Thieves gamble. This is a no-brainer. This is definitely the Thief. Which means that the Bard could actually just be a Ranger, right? A Ranger or a Mesmer. 1,000 devious schemes are concealed. As the heavens churn, one falls into the trap. It's a mix between, I'm thinking, gambling and tarot cards, right? Because tarot cards deal with divination and trying to predict the future, if your future is going to be bright or going to be negative. This just reminds me of, you know, divination language. This one, I have no clue what I'm looking at. This makes no sense to me. It could be a shield. Kind of looks like a demonic shield. It's a bladed, edgy looking shield. With sharpened will, I cleave the wind. In pursuit of shadows, I stir the waves. Huh. Sounds very edgy. Like some sort of shadow warrior. If we didn't already have a samurai, I would have guessed a samurai. But we have Bladesworn, so it can't be that. The imagery doesn't really scream samurai. Maybe I'm thinking a little too literally when I read these. Just put some googly eyes on it. Hold on. Now it looks like some goofy looking dinosaur. What are you doing? New spec, underbite. Alright, number 6. It's a dagger. It's a very squiggly dagger. Oh, can't be an assassin because we already have one? Through sacrifice, the unseen is stirred. With radiant blade, the frost is scorched. Could this be like a ritualist? That was a class in Guild Wars 1, right? And they're talking about sacrifice. It just seems like a culty, ritually sort of thing to do. Maybe it's not a ritualist then? If I were to take that literally and less metaphorically, I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that's probably just a ritualist. I don't know. He's got a squiggly dagger. Squiggly daggers, you know, are always, you know, symbols for ritualists, right? Number 7 doesn't have a poem. I'm guessing they don't have one yet. It seems to be a mask of some sort. A mask on fire? A Firefox mask. Half of these kind of make me think like we could be going to something Japanese themed, but we literally have Cantha. We have End of Dragons, so there's no way it's that. It's a mixture of different kinds of themes. I was hoping that these class elite specs would give me some clue as to what the next expansion could be, but it's all over the place. That's the new Mozilla Firefox class? Oh my god. The theme of the next expansion is Mozilla. Dagger straight, murder. Dagger squiggly, murder with passion. I don't know if sacrificing people is passionate murder. I guess it could be, depending on your perspective. New spec, Furrymancer. I know what spec to avoid then. Maybe something to do with like playing with fire, I guess? I'm just thinking about, you know, what I've seen in anime. You know, in a lot of anime, whenever I see a character with a Firefox mask, they're always able to play with fireballs. But, I don't know. Maybe it's an Elementalist. Now that I think about it, this could be Elementalist right here. No clue what this is. This could be Necromancer or Thief. This over here, the cards, could be Thief. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're a Thief. No idea what this is. This has to be Guardian or Warrior. And the Bard, Ranger or Mesmer. It does have Kitsune style vibes. Yeah. And don't rule out End of Dragons connections. We're not going back to Cantha. They're not going to do Cantha twice. I'm betting cards equals engineer? Cards? Why? Why would you think cards equals engineer? Well, I don't see the connection between the two. Traps and toolkit? Card traps and toolkit? Yeah, but thematically, they're inconsistent. They don't really gel together. It'd be weird for an engineer to hold cards. Think stage magician, building elaborate tricks. I still think it's thief. It's gotta be a thief. Engineer is a weird choice. Finding the right rhythm. Guild Wars 2 Janthier Wilds launched in August of last year, followed by 3 quarterly updates. After the first of those updates arrived in November 2024, we heard consistent feedback from the community. The additional story content felt too short. That was not my complaint. Yeah, sure, they could use more content in general, but the story is fine. People complain about the length of the story. Over here in Guild Wars 2, people are like, it's too short. And I'm here, you know, playing gacha games and being like, oh, this is too long. Too short, too long, too much, too little. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like they were the right length. And the lack of a new open world map made the update feel noticeably light. Yeah. Especially after it came off of the heels of a very bad map. That was Janthier Century. Century was a terrible map. I think, you know, they could have put more time and emphasis into like developing or fleshing out the second map. To be fair, I think the length of the story in the final Janthier Wilds update was fine. It was the content of that story that I have a lot to criticize about. Oh, we're just talking about Bavanisos. Yeah, Bavanisos did, you know, fall flat. For our next expansion, we're refining that structure to give each update more depth and impact. The first quarterly release after the expansion's launch will not include new story or whoa. So that's 3 months after the launch, will not include new story or map content. What? Instead, it will focus on updates to core systems and long-standing features. This approach gives us the space to revisit foundational elements of the game. So we'll potentially not get story updates for another 6 months? That seems pretty rough. By focusing on story and map development in the second and third quarterly updates, we're able to make those releases more robust and satisfying. Each will introduce a larger, more content-rich map and a longer, more fully developed story than what players saw in the equivalent Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds updates. I did say that they needed more time. I did say that they should put in, like, you know, maybe an extra month into baking their content updates, but so that means we won't expect any new story and map content for 6 months. That's half a year. Half a year is a long time. Mixed feelings about that, but I guess Guild Wars 2 players are used to that, because like this is how they really did things back in Path of Fire, Heart of Thorns, I guess. As long as we get more CMs, who cares? I care, as someone who doesn't give a shit about CMs. Remake the Zaitan fight? That would be nice. Remaking the Zaitan fight would definitely bring a better first impression for new Guild Wars 2 players. With our next expansion, we're taking the next step. Elite specializations are making a return. Finally! In the first quarterly release of our next expansion, that means unifying raids and strike missions into a more consistent structure, improving onboarding for newer players, reworking parts of the UI, streamlining rewards, and investing in systems that help group content feel easier to step into and more meaningful to stick with. P.S. Thanks for reading this far. Here's another teaser for your troubles. Oh, pictures! That's gotta be the Guardian thing with the wings. Oh! So, like, I guess it really is something akin to a Valkyrie. Like a Seraph, right? Paragon? So these are what Paragons are? I know nothing about Paragons in Guild Wars 1. So are Paragons like winged Guardians? I like how VB just blew past unifying strikes and raids. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what that is. So we got Ritualist as well. Oh. That could be the squiggly knife thing. Clearly a necromancer. They got the green energy coming out of them. Oh, it's warrior? Oh, it's a warrior. Oh, you know what? Guardians usually have the blue. Okay. Interesting. Is Dwayne Johnson? We're getting the Dwayne Johnson spec. I can't wait to build a rock. Warrior from Path of Fire area. Ritualist from Cantha, so End of Dragons related. We got an End of Dragons related thing, and we have a Path of Fire and related thing. That doesn't mean that we're going back to either Ilona or Cantha, though. Unless the next expansion has us travel all over the world? Yeah, everyone's talking about the unification, presuming they may rip raids apart into individual strikes. Oh, that's what they gleaned from that? I would not have thought about that. When I read the unification thing, I thought about like, oh, okay, they're probably just gonna change something about the currencies from strikes and raids, because there's a raid currency and there's a strike currency, right? Well, that's what I thought. I didn't think about, you know, oh, they're gonna split the raids into strikes. I mean, if that ends up being the case, I'd be open to it, because there are boss fights that I remember more fondly. There are some boss fights that I really, really liked in raids that I don't like. For example, I like Zira. Zira is one of my favorite raid boss fights. But I'll be damned if I ever, you know, do any of the previous encounters that lead up to Zira ever again. I mean, the maze thing was cute. The whole maze thing where you're, you know, constantly falling and there are illusions, that was cute, you know, the first time around, but I can't imagine myself doing that over and over and over again. So yeah, if they do end up doing that, that'd be awesome, because I would like to revisit Zira and other boss fights that I enjoyed. The squiggly dagger is when my thief hits a warrior main in full defense gear with puny crit damage. It just bends the knife. Yeah, I'm thinking that they could probably change some things where you can earn things that are typically earned through raiding only can probably be earned through strikes later, and that's probably what they mean by unification. It would be nice if they split the raids into individual strikes, but I'm not sure if that's what they'll do. Basically, when people hit that paragraph, the crazy speculation train left the station. I see. I'm sorry to disappoint. Add horses into the game. Yeah, add horses into the game. Prove these fools wrong. Horses exist. I'll do another roundup next Thursday, including the expansion announcement. So don't spoil things for me until then. And yeah, good talk.